We're here.
Well, good morning, guys. Thank you for joining us for another Tech Tuesday. Michael and Israel here from Bucks Island. So we're starting off with a bang. It looks like we're having some issues getting comments, but I think I can see them. I just won't probably be able to bring them up. But if somebody could just drop a comment just so I can see where it shows up so we can get this ball rolling or this show started or
Party started.
party. Yeah, I don't. We'll
Go
go with
with
that.
it.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. There we go.
So, all right, Shane, sweet. Yeah, it's just not showing up in the normal spot, and I won't be able to bring it up on the screen, but that's okay. I'll. I can read. I do have a couple that I pulled out of groups, out of the Yamaha group. A couple of good questions. Pretty basic, but I think getting things rolling for this time of the year, which I am ready for warmth to officially be here.
Yes, I'd be very grateful when that happens.
Um, yeah, I see we got a pretty much full lot of service boats
Yes, the normal. I guess you could
ready
say
to
Shane's
go.
boat's even here.
Chain. All right.
We're doing some live oil timer stuff on that.
Okay.
Hopefully today or tomorrow.
All right. Well, everything else going good down in service?
Yeah.
Run any parts issues or anything like that? Been
Usually.
pretty good.
Well,
Just normal.
Normal, like I can't get it kind of stuff. But I usually make a few miracles happen here and there.
Well, okay, guys. So if you got questions, Shane, make one up. If you got questions for us, definitely drop them in there. Pretty quiet last week, so
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody just got all their questions answered. But yeah, we appreciate the questions. That's why we're here is to see what we can do to answer. And yeah,
Maybe I've just bestowed so much knowledge on them, they just never ask questions.
it may be.
I'll have to do some tutorials, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll make mechanics out of everybody.
That's right.
So
You can make a mechanic out of them. I'll teach you how to fish.
all right. Let's jump in here. I'm gonna pull. I pulled one. We'll start off with this one. That is, as winter is coming to an end, I was wondering, what does everyone do before first startup? After a few months in storage, should I pull the ignition fuse and let it crank over for a little bit before firing?
Yeah. I would say that's not necessary. So it needs, once it cranks up, depending on what you got, things start falling pretty quick. I mean, if you want to do that, just pull a kill switch. No sense in pulling the fuse because it's going to do the same thing. You just turn the fuel pump off and stuff. So,
All right.
And if you have something like an Optimax and you want like injectors to open up and stuff, if you pull a fuse or you pull the kill switch or stop lanyard, it's not going to. None of that stuff's going to move anyway. It's just going to turn the motor over. That's it.
Okay.
The best thing to do is make sure you got good fuel in it. Your battery's good and hot, charged up, and I prefer maintenance, at the end of the winter instead of in the summer, unless at the end of summer, unless you're somebody that fishes all the time, all all winter long.
Hmm.
Then you got fresh oil in it.
Okay. Sorry, I am. I'm trying.
Make your words a little more pronounced.
That's all right. It's not gonna work for me, so we're not gonna worry about it. We'll only be so fancy today. All right. So Peter says, "I have a 2004 Evinrude 225 HO, and it cranks over but backfires. Can it be a module or cylinder?" Thoughts on the old '04 Evinrudes?
Yeah, typically if you get a backfire, the question is it blowing through the intake or is it blowing out the exhaust? It could be a lot of things on that one, but the main thing that usually makes them backfire is if you get an excess of fuel and then you finally get a spark. Okay, so if it's having an ignition problem and it's throwing all the fuel in there, and then finally it gets a spark, then it's going to backfire. And it could possibly do it on multiple cylinders. So I've seen them blow head gaskets and blow intake gaskets from that as well. So sometimes you got one problem, you start turning the motor over, it backfires, and you may fix that. You may find, oh, this I got a problem here. I got foul plugs or something, and then you change the plugs, and then you may end up having another issue on top of that after it backfires real loud. That's a lot of pressure.
Hmm.
And typically when it backfires before top dead center,
Okay.
which usually means it's not in a good place. It's like punching a wall, because the way a stroke does, it wants to get to top dead center and almost be coming back around, and then it fires.
Okay.
And that's where you get your power. But if you're going to top dead center and it happens to backfire or ignite that fuel, it's trying to work the opposite direction.
Mm.
I've actually had some small motors like 3-cylinder Mercuries and Forces that had a bad, like a bad power pack or something, and it was only firing on one cylinder, and it backfired, and it's actually run the engine backwards. If it was on the right cylinder doing it. So one of my personal boats did that too. So.
Okay, so did you throw it in reverse to go forward?
No, I just scratched my head, and finally figured out why I was doing that. But so it could be several things. I would check, make sure you're getting good ignition, on all the spark plugs.
Okay,
it's not a bad idea to do a compression check on it, and past that, it's hard to really tell you what to do because there's so many things that could be going wrong.
All right.
So.
Well, speaking of Evinrude, I did see I think it was in the Yamaha forum or in the Yamaha group the other day, somebody was asking about how to get a two-stroke motor in the States now, a new one in the box. So that was which a lot of answers were like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, you make an import one, but you'd have to make sure it's not. Definitely don't want to do it in California because they'll crucify you.
Yeah,
it's like a blasphemy there.
There were yeah.
The eco gods will be after you.
Well, hey, if you got a mask on, anyways,
there you go. You put a mask on all the cylinders.
Some comments about making runs to the Bahamas or that was some of those saltwater guys were jumping in there.
You can. I mean, there's a lot of things you can go show up somewhere overseas and get them to put one on your boat. But as far as importing them, you probably have a hard time getting them past customs. Yeah.
All right. So here's another, I know not super complex, but can I spray this under the cowling or should I not? It's on a show 225, which, whether you're familiar with this specific product, I don't think we sell a whole lot of salt stuff.
We do sell Starbright
we
stuff.
do sell, yeah. But I guess I would lead that into what's kind of your general technique on cleaning underneath the cowling.
Well, in the saltwater condition, that I have no tech. I've done a few, and it involved like a wire brush and some stuff that you actually put like a oil type substance afterwards, and I'd wipe it down, all over the engine real good because I've actually had a few trade-ins here and there that somebody bought, and we try not to do much because I want the customer that's buying it to see what he's getting.
Right.
So I'm not big. I don't want to hide anything. If it's been in salt water, it's been in salt water. And I've had people buy them after the fact. It's like, well, I don't mind this, but is there any way I can get this stuff off and make it look a little better at least? And scrubbing it with a little wire brush and then putting like a Yamaha shield on it.
Okay.
It takes that kind of corrosive look off of it and actually gives you some protection. So preventative, I would say, would be your best measure is to go ahead and put like some kind of Yamaha shield on there, some kind of corrosion guard, just to make sure you're not spraying it on anodes because it's actually the anodes are there to protect the precious metals. But otherwise, you can do a preventative measure. as far as using that stuff that you just showed, I don't know because
Okay.
we're not really in that world, so I try not to focus my attention on that stuff too much.
Well, and I pulled it more for just kind of a general get your thoughts on general cleaning a motor.
I prefer not to see saltwater stuff. It hurts my eyes.
Well, how about folks here local that the boat's been laid up and they're pulling their maybe they get
Well, what I normally see on the stuff up here is just mildew, and I don't really like using mildew cleaner because it actually causes things to get hard and brittle.
yeah.
But I have found just a little bit of soap, not mild soap, but getting a good mixture, some kind of maybe even engine degreaser or something like that.
Okay.
I've used Power Tune. Power Tune is a product we use to decarbon stuff, but I've used that stuff to break down
Okay.
lots of different things. So especially if it's got a lot of oil buildup, that stuff works really good. And then you just spray it off with some water and just make sure you don't get it into the intake or anything like that.
All right. Well, guys, hopefully I'm not missing any more questions. If you guys are, if you've got them, otherwise I've got one more, and then we're gonna call it a day. Um, another quiet day. So basically, this is a question on: is there a way looking at the motor to determine the year model of a Yamaha?
Well, the older ones there definitely is like you would have like say that 250, the LF 250, and you can kind of see a T there. But if it said TLRX, that X would identify the year model. Or if it's TLRY, TLRD,
Okay.
all that on the older stuff would indicate the year model. Now, if you see that when it says 1205, that's a 06 model. If it says 9 of probably, yeah, 9 of if it said 9 of '05, that's going to be a '06 model. Because in Japan they're being made in '05. By the time I think the break on them is either June or July, and then it's the next year model. Okay, now they're probably eliminating all that because when you got an engine uh, that's let's just say it's a 2021, they've made them in 2021 over there, and they're having a hard time getting in here. By the time they're here, it might be almost 2023. And so the problem with that, when you're financing a boat, sometimes not all of them are this way, but some of the finance companies are like, well, you got a 2022 boat and you got a 2021 motor. We're not going to finance it because you put an old motor on it. So they're trying to get for years.
Would probably be more common than
that's very common. But now you're going to probably see some 2023 boats with 2021 motors because it's taken so long to get here.
Right.
And I don't know how they're going to deal with that, but we've actually been in situations where we had a Skeeter, and it was before all this craziness that's happening. But there's usually always a split in the year model.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things they're trying to eliminate. And so whenever we register them, that'll be the year model. So right now you'll see them even on the side plate. They won't even have the year model on. It'll just be TL A or something. The A and the B is going to indicate what I guess what generation that motor is, not necessarily what year it is.
Well, I know for everything we put on the web, I put the manufacturing date because that's the most reliable. I mean, that's the easiest thing for everybody to understand.
It is.
Because.
But the good news with Yamaha, if I sold you a 2019 in the crate, it would be registered as a 2022 or whatever.
Warranty starts when the motor's sold.
So. Mercury's a little different. They give you 4 years to the date of invoice to be able to register that motor. So we've actually had motors we've sold, as is wholesale because it just happened to be a weird model that nobody really bought a lot of, and we ended up having to sell them without warranty. So we have to be careful on the Mercury end.
All right. So, all right, Peter had a follow-up on that Evinrude. The spark plugs were changed and it backfires from the prop. Do do I have a blown cylinder?
There's no way to know unless you do a compression check.
Okay.
If you do a compression check on it, you'll know real quick if the cylinder's blown. Because a lot of times you can pull the plugs out, or if you had the original plugs, you can look at them and it'll either be broken, have some shiny aluminum on there, look sparkly and pretty, but not in a good way.
Okay.
Yeah, but a compression check's the only real way to know if you've got a blown cylinder. So.
All right. And Shane, we've seen the Avid release with the Mossy Oak wrap, the 20XB. Have you seen it?
No.
I mean, you don't spend a ton of time on the old social media.
If you're not careful, nobody may see it.
Valid point. A little camo joke there, guys. Yeah, come for tech updates and info and get a little comedy.
There you go.
Yeah, Shane, I saw the video that Avid dropped on that. It's got a real dark, rich, dark tan seating, and then it's a mossy oak. Was it wrapped? I haven't dug into it. I've also been seeing some discussion. They finally got their tunnel hole 21 FS, I think, is what they did, and basically took the same hole and built a tunnel in there for the guys that I think their main market they're looking at with that is the marsh guys and guys that really want to get skinny. Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling we're probably not going to see one of those Mossy Oak Avids show up anytime soon here, based on the manufacturing information that we're getting from them. Kind of what we've had on orders, what we're getting. We just got a few. We've got a 21FS Mag, a 23, and they have actually all got motors. So, that would be my guess on them rolling that Mossy Oak out. But yeah, it's a pretty slick looking boat if you want a camo boat.
If you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions, so I'm out. I'm gonna go grab some lunch, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and thanks for the questions. And we'll be back next week. So let us know how we can help you. All right, guys. Y'all